been on mute over here.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just enjoying the show.
It's like this show. This is what I do to mine.
I don't really have, I guess, a guilty pleasure. I mean, there are things that I like, but I'm so picky that it's very limited, my choices. So it's usually just stuff that I've watched previously that I've enjoyed. So
What
that's
are some of
pretty
the
much
things
it.
you like that you're picky about?
I liked 12 Kingdoms. Sometimes I'll go back and watch that. Um, Disney's Gargoyles.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Sometimes I'll go back and watch a different world just to have that nice array of Black characters from
I love
all
the
across the
different world.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
this
have
is why
a
we're
really
friends.
nice, yeah, they have like a really nice cast of characters that vary significantly in personality. So I will go back and probably watch that and just kind of see what they did,
They need
how
more
they
of that on TV too. Like I feel like now it's just like people have so many different types of personalities, and I just love anything that shows people outside of like a stereotype of what you think of when you think of this type of character. I don't know. I think that's one of the reasons. Like in a lot of dystopian books, like The Hunger Games, like they make the characters so like tough and strong. And in Saving Eden, like I wanted my character to be kind of like not like that. Like I don't know why I just wanted her to be like really sweet. And I don't know, just because that's not what you see in like dystopian apocalyptic books. So I
Did
don't
you
know.
find writing Dystopia easy once you started writing it? Like once you started putting pen to paper, like it just came, or did you have to do a lot of world building before you got to actually doing
It's
it?
hard for me to remember, like, cause like I said, I wrote the first draft. Honestly, even though I published it like early, like January of this year, I wrote the first draft when I was in high school. So it was like so long ago when I actually wrote like world, like did the world building behind it. But I know it was inspired by a music video from DDR. So if you want to look up the song Wine Red by the Hush Sound, it's a song in Dance Dance Revolution. And it's about this girl in a beautiful garden in the music video. And she's just playing her little piano so happily. And for somehow that music video made me think of a whole story plot. I don't know how, but so yeah, so I think my world building was inspired by the setting of that music video and like the feel of like there's this beautiful perfect garden, but there's like this darkness, like this dark undercurrent that you can sense in the song and in the video.
I'm gonna put the link to the video in the chat for those of us who are going to watch it, like myself.
Okay.
Thank you. We're getting back on topic then.
Since you put us there, thank you for that.
Yeah, welcome. Survival. Like, what are some of the what can be some of the causes of dystopia?
Could be anything. Like a lot of the time it's like dystopian, obviously a lot of dystopians take place after like an apocalypse of some sort happens. So it could be like there was a war and like a different government overtook some place and now they want things to be done differently and then people are fighting back against that. Or it could be like there was some type of natural disaster that kind of drastically changed the way we live. So now we don't have power anymore. So or we don't have water that we can drink normally. Or I don't know. It's just lots
So
of different.
So would 2012 be considered the apocalypse, the apocalyptic thing, and not dystopia because they're actually going through it, right?
I think sometimes it depends on. I've probably seen that a long time ago, but I don't remember anything about it. So I really can't speak on that movie because I don't remember the plot. But I think a dystopian can be in the middle of an apocalypse. It can be in any setting. But I think a lot of post-apocalyptic things um, aren't necessarily dystopian unless there's like a society there that's um, also involved in kind of oppressing people in some way, which I think was the main thing that makes a dystopian dystopian. So
Okay, here's a fun one. packing your bag, okay? If you knew the end was coming, what are you taking with you using only things a writer would bring?
Things a writer would bring. See, the thing is, like, if I knew the end was coming, I don't know if writerly things would be the first thing on my mind. I might be like, oh, should I take my laptop to write my story, or should I take this, I don't know, supply of water or supply of food or weapon to not get killed by the zombie that's chasing after me right now? So I don't know. I would say probably a backpack, a notebook to write my last words when the zombie comes to get me. And definitely like a weapon of some sort. So yeah. What would you guys take?
Well, I got questions, and I'm sure y'all are expecting me to have like 800 questions because I do. So in this instance of we knew the end was coming, do we mean that we knew the end was coming and we knew that there was going to be an after? Because when I hear the end, I hear the end. So I'm probably going to get, I probably wouldn't even go anywhere. I would sit in my little lawn chair with my drink and just watch, because what am I going to do about this instance that's about to happen? Now, if we're talking about like, we all know that something horrible is about to happen and we have just enough time to get out, I would pick my mom, my sister, and maybe my writer's bag, because I always keep that packed and thinking it's got snacks too, because, you know, I like to eat. So
got snacks.
That's what I would pick up.
Oh, gosh.
Like, hi there, everybody. I hope you got your stuff. You get the dogs? Awesome. Awesome.
Look at you.
Yeah.
They can do that parrot here. It's okay.
Might be the time where you call everyone and be like, I love y'all, but just want to.
That would be the biggest three-way conversation. Hey, everybody calling you all at the same time.
Yeah.
We're all gonna have a Zoom meeting real quick.
Yeah, let's just Zoom the world. We all love each other. Bye.
Basically.
Cute
a cute little text. So I don't know. I'll probably bring like excluding like the important things, you know, like my kids and some food and stuff like that. I'll probably bring some headphones.
Yeah.
And
acting out screams would be good, I guess. I mean,
some paper somewhere. Huh?
A good book and some wine.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never done drugs before, so I guess the end of the world would be the time to try.
Some stuff.
Like, well, yeah, like, die anyway. So.
What job am I going to lose? It's not going to be there. Like, it's good.
Like, do I really want to be conscious right now? How can I get rid of Maybe I want to be hallucinating right now.
Maybe I want to be hallucinating right now.
That's funny. Brittny, what about you?
It would take Brittny 30 years to pack this bag.
Not necessarily, but I mean, usually only things that a writer would bring, obviously snacks and some water, a backpack, notebook paper and pencil, because how long, unless you got like a rechargeable battery that charges while you walk, how long will your electronics really last? Mm-hmm. In that case, a cell phone, maybe a voice recorder. Let's see, just stuff that would basically have some longevity to it. So from the writer's perspective, really notebook paper and pens, probably the waterproof pens and notebook paper.
Yeah.
So off the top of my head, those things.
The right survival.
Yeah.
What are some ideal weapons to safeguard your goods?
Gun, knife.
She's like, I know this one.
She's like pointing them out behind her as she's talking. Back here.
Like, those are the obvious ones though. Like, yes, if you could have access to a gun or a knife, but like, what is like a unusual weapon or something out of the box?
Slingshot.
What is a slingshot? Yeah.
Bow and arrow.
I would take a shovel.
I'm thinking about Rapunzel when she had that frying pan.
Frying pan. Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that movie. We need to watch that again. Like, that's
I
like
love it too.
movies. But I would say like if you have like an animal trap, like you could put it around like where you live, so if anyone try to sneak up on you, like it'll like catch them. I don't know.
Cell cameras and lighters.
So
What the lighters?
And stuff. I guess if you're so inclined to eat those, I think I would suddenly turn vegetarian at the end. Like I've been eating chicken and cow this whole time. Now this 3-headed possum is probably not what I'm going to
do. It's not good.
Like, it's really good. I don't like none of that.
Well, I still, yeah.
Which, I thought you were saying something.
Oh no.
Keisha, what were your characters eating in books? Like they I remember Angela and her dad were eating like fruits and vegetables, right?
Yes.
And then I remember her getting some toast or something when she was
at
the lighthouse.
I think at Lighthouse.
So what food did they have there? What food were they randomly?
What was going on in my story was kind of like because most of the environment, like there's no healthy land in like the United States. So except for in Angela's Eden garden, which is why she had all the fruits and vegetables and stuff there. So President Kane was actually like getting shipments of food from like overseas and shipping them back there and distributing it to like all the different settlements, but it wasn't like food that was like the best food or in the best quality. So it was like the food was really sparse and not very good. And it was all like being shipped in from overseas. So yeah. But then there were like a few people who had like their own little like private like trying to grow food, which I think was kind of like at Lighthouse they might have had a little bit of food. I know at the Resistance they had like a garden down there where they were making food for people. So yeah. But that's
how did you get the idea? I know that's off our survival topic, but how did you get the idea to keep so much of the technology going? Like what made you decide to keep all the technology there?
I feel like with the type of things that happened that caused the world to end, like biological warfare and like also biological engineering, like in my book, like in the history of some of what had happened, like they were doing experiments on people to alter their DNA. But I feel like that type of stuff, it won't necessarily cause like the power grid to go out or cause like computers to stop working. So I felt like the technology should still be there. The people was more so what changed, or the people might not be there as much to like create new types of technology. But I felt like they were just kind of living off of pieces of technology that had already existed before is kind of what I was trying to get across in the story. Like they had really old computers, they were listening to music that existed before like the bio-wars happened and everything. So
I don't know, somebody had a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah, they had a BlackBerry phone. And I think that like when I think about when I first wrote that freaking first draft, it was probably like not as old as a phone now, but I think my point was like they're scavenging things and they're scavenging like technology that they can find from the past and like using it in this dystopian future is what I was trying to go for.
That's cool though, because I mean even like the cars were working, and so that I was like, oh whoa, they getting in the car, they're gonna travel down this long road and have a good old journey.
There were very few cars. Like there, if you notice, like there were like only like a very few amount of cars in the city. But as the series goes on and like more and more modern technology gets reintroduced, like I think if you read the second book, Finding Eden, like there's a plane that, and then everyone's like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a plane before. So so I guess I'm trying to be like, the world is slowly rebuilding itself with what they had in the past. So yeah.
I appreciate that in your world people are actually rebuilding, because in like dystopias like Mad Max, nobody's rebuilding anything. They're like, this is the desert, we're staying in this desert, it's got one spout of water and we're going to huddle around that spout of water. We're not going to try to use it to make anything. We're not going to try to rebuild. Like Native American and other types of societies have been living without 500 of these things that we have now, but not this group of people. We're just going to like keep it real and do nothing else. So thank you for that.
And I think this is one of the hardest things for me as I try to write the third book, is because there's like a time jump. So like I'm trying to understand, okay, so over 10 years has passed since Finding Eden, and this book I'm writing now for the next book, I'm like, how has the world changed since then? So it's basically I'm starting over with my world building. So I think that's why it's taking me so long to write it as well. So yeah.
There's that world building again.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Instead of Blackberries, everybody's got an iPhone.
Yeah. That's funny. Did y'all hear? I think I posted this somewhere about that the Twinkies didn't survive after like 10 years. I think 10 or 40 years down in somebody's basement.
I saw something about that years ago. I was like, I didn't know Twinkies could last that long. I'm not sure I want them now.
Zombieland. I was trying to think, there was a movie that dealt with that, Zombieland, because Tallahassee was straight looking for Twinkies the whole time, and I think he found one.
Oh, wow.
Because there's not any being made anymore. But I mean, if you think about it, that is one of those things that you've always known that there's been a Twinkie. Like even before you were born, someone was eating a Twinkie somewhere, and then all of a sudden, nothing.
That's crazy.
As soon as the sun go down, we know Twinkies are disappearing.
I didn't know tissue was going to be an apocalypse item. Did not.
Yeah.
Me neither. Like I would never have thought like, oh, you can't buy tissue. You better stock up.
But there were a lot of things that I just did not think about that were going to be things that people were going to grab first. Like I figured people were going to grab like, flour and cornmeal but already baked bread. They were like all on top of that.
Yeah.
Things that were all they can, like they were taking canned goods that nobody takes. Like all of a sudden succotash was gone. I was like, okay. It's like, okay, well. So it's very interesting what people like, I guess when they feel like something is going down, what people grab for when it's that time. And I thought it was very interesting. Like if I was going to write a paper on this, which I'm not, because I'm not trying to be depressed all over again, I'd be like, so here's a list of items.
Yeah. And I feel like we have so much from this year, like we have so much to draw from when it comes to writing dystopian type. Like there's just been so much going on. Like, do you guys even remember the killer hornets? Like there was a tiny blip of time where people were talking about like killer hornets are gonna like destroy. So there's just been so much like, okay, someone needs to write like 2020, the dystopian novel.
Trust me, I guarantee you somebody's working on it.
Something was happening.
Something.
Like you couldn't focus. Like there's killer hornets. There's meth alligators over here. They just found some hornets that dive into the water and lay eggs. Like
I saw this picture of these huge like Florida alligators on Facebook, and it legit looked like a damn dinosaur just hanging out by the lake. I was just like, I cannot. My oldest is I want to go see it.
Evolution, now you do, because those things literally look like they could like walk upright, and you're just like,
Yep. Like, so I won't be going to Florida anytime soon. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
See, I went to Florida this year, and there were like all these little baby alligators near, like across from the hotel I stayed at. There was like a golf place, and there were all these little baby alligators. Like, oh, they're so cute. Like they were
until Mama comes.
Yeah.
Mama say you mess with her babies over there in the golf course.
Like my husband was like,
I was like, oh, they're so cute. My husband was like, you gonna pet it? I was like, no. Like, oh gosh.
I bet not.
Where people could technically probably go grab one of them. So
please don't. Don't be those people. It's 2020. It is not the year to be playing with these things.
Okay, we're playing with anything.
I don't want y'all discovering nothing. I don't want y'all finding anything. If y'all see a hidden temple, that don't go in there. None of that.
Did you see that they actually opened one, right? Didn't they open a tomb? Yeah, I think they did.
I wrote like, please leave that alone. Don't touch nothing. Leave everything.
Yeah,
in
they
there.
were.
Don't do it.
They just like this was a bad year to go doing that. Just
If
pause
you're
it
going to
until
be
next year.
explored, 2020 is not the year for it. Please don't.
There's like this show on Amazon Prime. It's like a little anthology series, but I don't remember what it's called. But they're each different episodes, and there's one about like this giant like octopus animal under in the ocean, but it like gets like so intelligent. It's like more intelligent than humans, and it's basically trying to kill all the humans so it can like take over the world. I don't know, but I don't know. That's just what you said about
Look it up. Octopus taking over the world.
There was one on Netflix like that. It was in an anthology series where like the cats had taken over.
Oh,
killed Love, Death, Robots. I think it was on.
Oh, Love, Death, Robots. Yeah, my husband watched that. I need to actually go back and watch that. I love a lot of the anthology series. I really love. Like I love Black Mirror. Have you guys seen Black Mirror at all?
I started watching Black Mirror, but I got real sad. Like not
really.
Yes.
If you watch the first episode of the first season, you will never watch the rest of it because it's disturbing. Is that the one you watched?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, don't start with that one. But like, if you ignore that episode, and like there are some really good episodes on there. Like I really like
really good things about it. I just was like, good Lord.
Yeah. I'm like,
some of it is a little extreme.
Yeah.
Excuse me, y'all.
But the episode San Junipero, that could also be considered dystopian, and it's really good about the computer program that basically when you die, you can get connected to like this computer program and like live a second like virtual life. But you can also like join this virtual world when you're still alive. So there's like this girl, she's in a wheelchair. So by joining this virtual world, she can like walk for the first time and everything. And it's a cool episode, San Junipero.
Something like it's Ready Player One and Upload. Yeah, I think Upload has one on Amazon Prime. That sounds similar.
This is before Upload, so yeah, but yeah, Ready Player One's good too.
That is.
Cool. Okay, so here, under the survival again, what places on Earth could be a possible utopia if this happened? Zombies. Where are you going to hide at if zombies take over the world?
I'm going to stay here in the great state of Texas. All these guns? Like, why would I leave?
If I would swim, because I'd probably go to some type of island where they can't get to me. I like my own little private island and be like, well, you can't touch me here.
Until they learn how to swim.
I was just thinking that, like, what if people like die down there in the water and then they start coming up?
Oh no!
And now you stuck
with that. Like, I wouldn't even try. I would just sit in my house and be like, just take me. It's
just barricade.
Like this was my last ditch effort.
Failed. No, it's that wine. Just for all right.
What is a kaiju?
It's
I actually looked that up because I was like, what is that? And then it's like a giant creature like Bigfoot or like Godzilla.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying that wrong. That's probably why I don't recognize it.
Yeah, and I never heard that term.
I think you're saying it right. I think it's kaiju.
Okay.
I don't know if you can really go anywhere to survive that. Like if they come out, they coming out
underground.
Water,
get like a little bunker. A bunker underground.
Surrounding water though?
What?
I want to say yes.
Don't they always come out of water though? Like don't they usually come out like out of the depths?
But I guess out of the depths, but I guess it also depends on like what type it is, right?
Yeah, if it's like Bigfoot or Godzilla.
Because Bigfoot would probably be somewhere in the mountains. Who knows where Godzilla hiding out? I think he was the water, right? Why was he in the water?
I don't know.
Well, that's one of the few places you can hide something that big. So, I mean, if you traipsing around on land, I think any and everybody could spot them at any and every time, and then you get completely harassed by the military. but the Pacific Ocean they haven't gotten to the bottom of and explored.
And they don't need to.
At all.
They really
At
don't.
all.
Every weekend, something special is coming out of the water.
What's that movie? What's that movie? I think that's where I got it from too. The kaijus. It's some movie where like this alien species is coming up out of the water from like a crack, and it's like a different realm, huh?
Is it Pacific Rim?
Yeah, I think
that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, they had to fight it with giant robots and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't need to go digging around in that water. God said, leave that alone. For us.
Don't find nothing else. Don't discover anything this year.
Okay, God said no. He didn't put light down there for a reason, okay? Just saying. How about if there was a drought? Where you hiding?
Somewhere with lots of water where I can get a purifier for the water. Well, I guess if there's like an island, I'll go back to my island. There still has to be something.
I'm going to go to the beach and learn how to desalinate water real quick.
I was about to say, figure out some way to do that, or live near, or up in Alaska, or in the polar regions where there's ice.
Oh, it's cold there.
Yeah, well.
You want to be thirsty or you want to be cold? What you want?
I don't know.
Choose one.
I hate cold. That would be hard for me. Like, do I want to go to where I'll be cold, or do I just want to die? No.
So me and Brittny, I'll see y'all later.
Like, we'll just
we'll go to the beach. It'll be okay. It'll be all right.
Well, I wonder what Sheena and Keisha are doing.
Oh gosh.
Man, I love them.
The plague. Oh, I guess there's different kind of plagues, right?
Yeah, it depends on the nature of said plague.
And it's not something that you can even hide from.
Yeah, really. I feel like unless you like separate yourself from all other humans, so you can't catch anything. Like, because the plague you have to catch from somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Or something like the bubonic plague, which was transmitted via rats and ticks.
Yeah. So just basically get one of those, like, did you hear like there was like this giant air bubble that like I think some rapper went and did a concert in Africa wearing a giant air bubble? I don't know. So that I forget who it was, but like you just need a giant air bubble so you can't catch any type of plague.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, it probably looks silly, but I can't be mad if it worked. Like,
right.
Air bubble rap concert.
Air bubble rap concert.
I mean, was it filtered? Because if it doesn't have an air filter to filter out like pollutants and germs, then it's a moot point.
It was Akon
within a crowd.
You guys got to look up this picture of Akon
Of course it was Akon.
surfing the crowd in a giant air bubble. Because and I think
Did
it was.
Did he crowd surf? He did.
Crowd surfed to avoid Ebola by wearing a giant air bubble.
As opposed to just staying on stage, though?
Yeah. I guess so.
Wow.
So ridiculous.
I don't know why I was thinking something like it was gonna be like
Kanye.
man shaped or something. But it's
Yeah.
legit a bubble.
It's legit a bubble. So what if it's like a plague of locusts or something? Like, are we? Because I didn't know that there were swarms of ladybugs until I started talking to Brittny, and apparently that's a thing. So I really don't know how you would get away from something so small, like swarming.
And
like,
get you some fire somewhere.
Yeah.
Alaska.
Like Brittany's like Alaska.
She just wants to,
She just wants to move there.
Insects freak me out, so.
Girl, don't they?
I mean, there's a plague of spiders, but there's only so many houses you can set fire to before you're here.
Oh, like that spider, was it that period of time in the year where all those spiders go and shoot their webs and stuff in Australia, I think? And like the whole land is like covered.
Yeah. That is
like,
crazy.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things in Australia that can kill you, like on land. Like, and it doesn't really matter where you are; they're coming for you. And he's like, well,
that's why they pay them so nice. You gotta live out there and fight for your life.
Did you see that one video where they had that kangaroo that was squaring up with this guy? like he was hurting his dog, but the guy came in to rescue his dog, and that kangaroo squared up with him, and I was like, oh, they really?
I have not seen that.
Wow, no.
This is a little off topic, but have you guys seen the video of the what was it? A cougar following the man while the hiker?
He stopped running every time the guy turned around.
Yeah. Well.
Yes.
Yes. The cougar tried to like lunge at him every time the guy tried to reach and grab a rock, but it followed the man for like 6 whole straight minutes. And like I would have been so terrified. Like that was the most suspenseful video watching it. I was like, how is he gonna survive this giant cougar literally following him? And he's a hiker alone in the forest.
Oh, wait, there's another one up there too.
Climate change.
I mean, pause all these.
What places on Earth could possibly be?
Probably again nowhere, depending on what's happening.
I mean,
yeah, it depends on what's going on. You probably would need to be migrant for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I would still probably say somewhere up north. I mean, the thing you probably would have to deal with there is like extreme temperatures, like blizzards. However, if that's not an issue, I would think that would be milder. I'm not a climatologist or anything, so I could be totally wrong. I just feel like that would probably be a bit more mild. If we're talking about heated temperatures, I would still say probably go up north. At least you won't have to worry about tornadoes and hurricanes.
If there were blizzards?
It depends on the climate. There it could be like blizzards, because didn't like last year or the year before or whatever, like New York and them had like some severe snowstorms and stuff. So you probably have to deal with that. If that's not a thing, then I would probably say Alaska still, because even though the temperatures may raise, if that's a part of it, I wouldn't think that Alaska or any northern territory would be as heated as, say, around the equator, or even where we are in the United States.
I feel Alaska should pay you for the shout out you're giving them right now. Like,
I just say Alaska.
Promo for them, didn't even know.
Canada.
Okay.
There's also Canada.
Giving Alaska so much promo.
They can cut Brittny a check and it will be rightly earned. You get it, girl.
Okay.
Like saying my husband's been to Alaska before, but he's always talking about how if you live in Alaska, they'll actually pay you to live there. So he's like, we should move to Alaska. I'm like, I'm not moving to the.
I heard that.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how these student loans play out, girl.
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, Alaska looks amazing.
Nice change of scenery.
Change of scenery. I want to see a polar bear. It's cool.
No, I ain't say all that.
Yeah.
Nuclear war. I don't know. Like, I literally have no idea. Like, the weirdest thing about Texas is that we don't have like unless you specifically made like a bunker, we don't have like basements. Like that isn't one of those things that were in the specs in for the housing anywhere around here. Like we go out into my neighborhood right now, not one of us has a basement, not one of us has any underground areas. So I don't honestly think there would be a whole lot we could do except for go to the library, and that's it. And that's only because it has an extensive underground area.
Be like the little kids in class, cuddle up against the wall and put your hands over your head.
Okay.
I'm like, what is that really gonna do?
Not a thing. Well,
Is it because of the composition of the ground that basements aren't really a viable option?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's honestly because of the ground that we have. A lot of it is rock once you get to a certain amount below. So there are hardly any basements. Like I really don't know that. I've never lived in a house that's had a basement. None of my friends lived in a house that has had a basement. Never has there been a basement ever. So,
barely had an attic.
Yeah.
I think I've seen like 1 or 2. But yeah.
Like we have an attic now that none of us have gone into because we've all seen too many horror movies. There could be somebody living up in there, and that's fine. Like, they don't come down this way. It's good. So I really don't know. Like, where would y'all go during nuclear war? Like, do y'all have something?
I can't really think of a place in my city that I feel like would be safe. Maybe like honestly, my city has like underground areas. Like there's like, I know there are actually in most cities like underground tunnels, like in certain places that aren't really being used. So maybe like someplace like that where I would hope things wouldn't be able to get to me.
Sounds like you and your husband need to go take a weekend to go find y'all a fallout shelter.
Yeah,
real quick.
Basically, yeah.
It is huh?
Do y'all have basements in your area?
I'm pretty sure. Like, I haven't been to anybody's house that has a basement because I'm at antisocial like that. So I don't really go to people's houses like that. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we do. I'm pretty sure people got bunkers around here too.
Yeah, I've been to houses with basements, but I've never had a house with a basement. Right now I have an apartment, so definitely no basement.
No basement.
Hmm.
But it would depend on where the extent of said nuclear war, because could you consider what happened in Hiroshima a nuclear war? And they survived, so.
But were they happy though?
Of course not.
Like, I mean, they survived, but was it surviving? Like because like look at the Chernobyl incident. So people like Chernobyl happened and people stayed sick for a very long time, and like those effects just kept coming. And even now, I don't think the area is that safe to live in or even go to without proper PPE. So, I mean, even if you did survive whatever nuclear war was happening, would it really be survival? Like, or would you just be existing until it was over? Like, how post-apocalyptic does that get?
I would still say it would be surviving because you're trying to live. If you're not trying to live, then you would just sit there and die. So, I mean, if you're still fighting to see another day, then you are surviving. You're not thriving, but you're at the very least surviving.
That's another thing that I think could distinguish between like dystopian and post-apocalyptic. Like I feel like post-apocalyptic is oftentimes like you're surviving and you're fighting to survive, and dystopian is like you're fighting for the quality of life that you want or the type of life that you want. So it's not necessary. In some cases, it's also fighting to survive, like in the Hunger Games, but they're also fighting to change, like, so this tournament doesn't happen every year. So, yeah.
So do you think that with utopian books as compared to dystopian books, that in utopias, there are people who have reached this level of thriving? Like they're not just being happy, they're at a point where they're moving forward.
See, I don't think I've ever read a book that's utopian, because I feel like that would just be like the world is perfect and that would be like a boring story. So I don't feel like people really write utopian books. I think most of the time it's like if something is utopian, there has to be a flip side to it where there's
a cost.
Yeah, like I don't know. So
there's a cost to the utopia. Usually it's something like y'all mentioned before, where one, like the 2%ers or whatever.
Yeah.
Basically a scenario like that where a bunch of people are being subjugated in order to create this utopia for this group of people who live blissfully unawares.
Yeah.
It's always so crazy to me that they're blissfully unaware. Like clearly your way of life is being maintained somehow. So I don't know if it's just because I've never been in that 1%. So I understand that whole idea from farm to table and going to the store and getting things. But I've never understood this idea that you don't have, like, you feel that your food magically just pops out of the refrigerator and onto your table. Like, I just, like, it's so strange to be like, I didn't know that happened. Right, but you knew that food had to grow. So is that growing in your basement? Growing in your garage? Where are we at with that? Like, it's so strange.
I always think those who are only curious will probably start questioning it while everybody else would be like, yeah, it's there. I'm living my life. There's no discomfort.
Yeah, great. That's it.
Because if there's no discomfort, then there's really no reason for you to question anything unless you're just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah. If everything is good for them, like, why rock the boat is what most of that mentality is, right?
So do you ever feel that in dystopia, like people who write dystopia, that they've ever done like, I guess, a slice of life dystopia? You know, like in anime, there's this genre where it's like there's nothing's really happening. It's just this is what goes on from day to day, and they have like several episodes of that. So do you
Like
feel
Dr. Stone?
Yeah. So do you ever feel like dystopia is ever going to get to a point where they're not really raging or trying to fight or anything? They're just like, so these are the things that happen in our dystopia day, and it's kind of sitcom-y.
I don't know. Like, I feel like
It'd be nice.
I've never really seen that. I mean, I feel like Black Mirror feels like to me like different little episodes of different parts of the same world sometimes, even though I'm not sure if it's really in the same world. But there's usually still conflict there. So I don't know if I've ever seen like an example where there's no conflict, but they're just living their dystopian life unaware in any type of fiction. So
It probably is just an anime thing because you have a lot more freedom to work with in that instance.
I just feel like when it comes to anime, and maybe it's Japanese culture, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I feel like they have a more appreciation for the now and just the everyday things as opposed to a lot of Western cultures, which is, if you look at the media, it's always typically, it's us against the world.
Yeah.
And typically in Japanese culture or anime, there's always typically this sense of we're one with the world, or we're a part of the dynamic of the world. Like, it's a yin and yang thing.
That's true. I feel like Western culture is very individualistic, like to the point of where it's like, I'm so unique. I'm the person who's going to save the world. I'm the chosen one. In fiction, it's usually the chosen one or the guy who gets the ring.
There's always just one.
There's just one. Of course, the reader would be that person because you see yourself as the hero. Like, I feel like in other cultures, it's like, this is our community, and how can you fit into this community, and how can we build the greater like world around us instead of just be self-focused. And I think that's definitely a difference. So I don't know if that's why there's that difference there, but
the Cinder go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The Cinder Chronicles was similar to that. It didn't focus on just like one girl going to save the world, even though we knew like I think she was like the princess or something. I haven't read it in a while, but like it's still like each book focused on different. They're all girls, but it focused on different girls who had something to do with saving the world and how they came together and formed that little band of like, yeah, let's cause a revolution.
Cinder is on my list. I have the first Cinder book, but I really want to read it because just the concept
so good.
sounds so interesting.
Like Martin R. Mortimer?
That's probably what I'm gonna read after the Grisha series. Like, I keep trying to read other things, but I keep wanting to finish the Grisha series. Like, I read all of Six of Crows, and then I'm like, I read the first one of Shadow and Bone. I'm like, I can't just read this, so I'm gonna read something else. And I'm trying to read Legendborn, on Audible. It's good, but I just keep thinking about like, I want to finish the Shadow and Bone series because I'm like invested in that world now, I guess. But I feel like the Cinder books is like another world. Like, I love world building, and I feel like it's like I will get invested in this if I start this series.
Is that by Martin R. Mortimer? Is that the one y'all were talking about?
I'm not sure who it's by. It's a YA book. It's about it's like dystopian fairy tale retellings, kind of. I think each one is like, is it a fairy tale retelling? Because I think Cinder's supposed to be Cinderella.
So the Cinder Chronicles is basically just a retelling of a certain fairy tale, and then it's like a dystopian world. I think it's kind of a fairy tale retelling, but it's also like, I think she's like a robot or like part robot. So it's kind of like a sci-fi spin on like the Cinderella fairy tale in a dystopian world. But I don't know much more about it, but I've just heard people say it's really good, so I want to read it.
I'm trying to look it up. It's a thing.
That sounds good.
It's by Marissa Meyer.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Let me drop it in the chat in case.
Yeah.
And I hear
Yeah,
that.
I definitely recommend it. It's a really, really great series. I was surprised. I didn't think that I would actually like it, but I really.
They're listed
cover
as
is really
science
good.
fiction fairy tales. So yeah, there's like Cinderella, Red Riding Hood, Rapunzel, Snow White.
Oh, that sounds good. I love retelling fairy tales. Like, I enjoy those a lot. As always, it's for the audience. If y'all have books, please post them so we buy books that people write, so we enjoy reading them. So please
Yeah.
do. I found so many good books through everyone who's posting. So when you wrote your book for dystopian, did you know it was dystopian at the time, or like did you finish it and go, "Oh yeah, dystopian"?
I think it was like after I finished it. Like honestly, it was the first book I wrote, and I wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna follow this genre like exactly like. But I think that's just kind of how the story developed in my mind. Like when I saw that music video, and then I was like, there's this beautiful garden, and I imagined that the world outside of the garden was like the opposite of that. I imagined it to be like dried up and destroyed, and so yeah, it kind of just went from that idea. And then I kind of developed the idea of like the wardens and the President Kane character who's kind of like overseeing people and trying to kill off all the mutants and stuff like that. And that my character was, she, I don't know if I should, if it's okay to spoil it a little bit, but my character is actually a mutant, but she doesn't know it at the beginning of the story. And like, so that's why she's been kept away from the world. She's been kept away in this little perfect bubble garden. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to kind of explore how that would turn out. So yeah.
Oh, it's like 10 o'clock. I swear, when I start talking to y'all, time goes so fast. Okay,
Yeah.
so tell us where we can find your book and when your next book is coming out.
Okay, well, you can get all of my books on Amazon. I have Saving Eden once again. This is my first book, a YA dystopian book about a 16-year-old girl who discovers that she has a unique ability and she has to kind of save this community. My second book, Finding Eden, has two new main characters. You can read them out of order, so you can just check out both blurbs and see which one sounds most interesting to you. This was actually my highest rated book, like according to reviews. So people really like Finding Eden if you want to check that one out.
What's crazy about that is that I've seen your books on Amazon,
Yeah.
and now that I have a face to put to the books, like
Yeah.
it's crazy. I'm like, I've seen that, like, when you're looking through your books and you see your favorite, and then you're like, I'm like, oh, that's you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So those are my two books. I'm working on the third, Making Eden, which will probably be out next year, just with my schedule. Hopefully early next year. It's my nano book, so I'm trying to get like most of it written this month. And yeah, so I also want to plug one more thing. I have a Facebook group called Diverse Books with Magic, and I would love for you guys to check that out. It's run by a bunch of authors who write science fiction and fantasy, and they're like all authors of color who write science fiction and fantasy. So we're really just trying to create a community that celebrates diversity in those genres where it's harder to find diverse books and things of that nature. So yeah, we'd love to have you guys join and support.
Do you have a link to your group? Do you have a link to it? So you can put
I can get a link to it, but I'm not on the YouTube, so I'm not sure how to. Let me try to get on YouTube and post it.
While she's doing that, I guess we can plug our stuff too. Hey. We're on IG, of course, to find us. We are at the.right.talk. And so we're there. We also have a Facebook group that's out now. Just launched it really for NaNoWriMo. Hey, that's exciting. So if you want to check us out there too, you can. Please do. Lots and lots and lots of great resources on our page, and we are constantly building, constantly trying to just be a great resource for everything that is Black speculative fiction. So yeah, if you want to come check us out, please do answer those few questions that we got up there, and we'll say hey.
So I didn't know you guys had a Facebook page, so I'm gonna have to look that up because I love your Instagram. Like you guys have so much like actual informative information. Like I feel like I actually learn stuff when I see your Instagram posts. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Like,
Hey, Brittny.
I know. It's Brittny.
She's our post queen, and we appreciate
yeah.
her.
Thank you.
Look, she's like, don't do that.
Like, don't put me in the spotlight.
But it's true. She is so talented. She's so great. Where would we be without Brittny?
Yeah, we'd be doing just fine.
We wouldn't. Nah, we not at all.
Oh, that's too funny. We're like scrambling together.
But I had so much fun, you guys. Thank you guys for inviting me on here today.
No, thank you for
Yeah.
coming up with us this late, because I know you're an hour ahead of some. Well, you and Brittny are an hour ahead of us, so it's like 12 something there, I think.
It's fine. It was a fun way to end the night.
And a good way to start the weekend. Woo.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that is all for us, y'all. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, please. And don't forget to check all of our stuff out.
Yes.
Yay.
Did you post your group?
I posted the group and a few of my social links. So yeah.
Great.
Nice.
All right. Bye.
Please. Bye.